Welcome to the Transform My Dance Studio podcast. Over the coming weeks, as your dance studio starts to navigate the changes impacting our industry, we are delighted to be giving you exclusive access to some of our best mindset and change management sessions in the Dance Studio Owners Association. We hope you find this mindset episode valuable, and for more support and resources specifically for dance studio owners, please make sure to join our free Facebook group, the Dance Studio Owners Hub.
I'm super excited to be bringing you our masterclass guest right now, who is the amazing, the mind-body mentor, Marci Lock. Hey, Marci.
Hi. I'm like, oh, it's day one. I'm going to be on day one. Yay. How much fun.
Yeah, you are day one. You've got a big responsibility here. We are setting...
Locking down. All right.
Locking it down. We are setting these guys up for success for the next 10 days. So, Marci, I'd love for you to share in about 60 seconds just a little bit about you, the work you do, and what your big mission in the world is.
Okay, well, 60 seconds. Let's go. Are you timing me?
I'm timing you.
My vision is to shift the consciousness of the planet. And I guess my main message would be that if you're not experiencing amazingness, awesomeness, you know, I like to use the word fucking fantastical. If you're not experiencing awesomeness in every aspect of your life, why not? Like, why the hell not? There's a belief system that says I can either have this, or a couple things working and not this. So I want to say bullshit. Everything gets to be awesome. And if that's not happening, what's going on inside you blocking that? That's boom. 60 seconds.
That's it. That's probably even like 30 seconds. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. Marci, what, I guess, spurred you to kind of start doing this work in the world? Like, what was it? Did something happen in your life and you're like, you know what? It doesn't have to be like this.
No, Clint, my life's always been awesome.
Always. You just like woke up and you're like, yeah, awesome every day.
Obviously, my shit, I experienced the gifts, right? And out of all my messes of life came my message. And so, yes, of course, like it really started for me in just wanting to stop struggling. My life was struggle, from disease, dysfunction, you know, growing up on a farm where we had to raise our own food to survive, to, you know, having breast cancer and heart attack at 19, like you name it. My past history was, traumatic. And so my life was struggle. And I started in the body because at 4 years old, I took on a belief that, I have to have a perfect body to be loved, because I saw my mom be upset over her body and struggle. So I took on that belief of, if I have a good body, your body's so important. If you don't have a good body, you're not good enough, which was all bullshit. So what I found was, through all my younger years, I struggled to fight to get my good body. But what happened? We always sabotage. We never allow ourselves to get there, or we get there and, we do something to sabotage, because the belief systems I had inside from the get-go were like, I'm not worthy of having it. I'm not good enough. I have to have a good body to be worthy. So I created resistance and sabotage. And so that's where I really started, was having a whole life of struggle. I was done struggling. I wanted to believe life could actually be awesome, but I couldn't actually imagine that because my life had been so much struggle. So I went through my journey of learning to break through those blocks and those beliefs and those thoughts and those patterns and the identity that I was living in that was keeping me in struggle, to have awesomeness.
Yeah. And so I was going to say, you use that word identity just then. And do you think a lot of people place an identity on them that my life's always going to be tough? It's always going to be a struggle. Things aren't ever going to happen to me that's going to be any good. You know, look at that person over there that's got that great life. I mean, do you see that a lot with people, with business owners?
That's a belief system and a thought. Those are patterns and thoughts and belief systems. Identities are personas that you live in, such as, so say for instance, a perfectionist identity is super common. 99.9% of us operate out of perfectionist identity patterns, because the way we've been conditioned and trained in our society says, I have to show up this way for you to love me and be validated. Now, so even for us to be like, okay, we got to have it, maybe dance owners, we got to have a good body image because people are judging us, that we got to look the part and be a dancer. And all this is trying to show up a certain way to be good enough, which in the core, it says, I'm not really worthy and good enough. Hence, we're blocking money. We're blocking relationships. We're blocking balance. We're doing that game of the entrepreneur that's like feast, famine with your money, because you have unconscious commitments being broke because you're unworthy. Like your patterns, the identity that you took on. So there's like being a victim is an identity. being the martyr, being someone who, so just these are things that you've chosen to live in because you based them off of decisions when you were little of how to survive, how the world operates, loved and accepted.
Totally. Marci, if we've got people sitting here going, oh my God, I think that's me. I mean, what, when you're working with your clients, what are those first steps? Like what, if someone's identified, okay, yeah, maybe I'm living a bit in that, what would you suggest are those first things they do to try and make that shift?
Okay, well, first off, I think the biggest disconnect for people is realizing that they're the world's greatest example of how to treat them or how to love themselves. So if you're the person who, in perfectionist identity, you've most likely lived in a mask, you've been hiding who you really are, meaning you just try to show up for everybody and do everything and you go, right? You're like, yes, I resonate with this too.
Yes. And I'm thinking of our studio owners who, literally they're not number one on the list. Generally, they're not number 10 on the list. Their families, their students, the parents, the teachers, they're looking after everyone else before them. So why are you saying that? I'm like, yes, this is our studio owners and our teachers.
So let's look at the truth of what's really going on. If you're someone who can't even take 20 minutes for you to exercise every day, if you're someone who can't have a balanced life, if you're someone who you're not giving yourself peace, balance, time, connection with your kids or loved ones or for yourself, how in the world do we think we're actually able to manifest money? It's a complete disconnect. I'm not even worthy of 10 minutes for myself, yet I think I'm going to kick ass in my business and someday the money's going to flow in and then I'll have balance. You've actually, everything that you're speaking and acting and operating in is creating more shit, more resistance, more disconnect, more, craziness of time. So a lot of it is even dropping the stories that you've been telling yourself about it has to look a certain way. So when we recognize, oh my gosh, I'm showing up this way to be loved and validated, but you're empty. There's nothing going on for you. So the truth is until you make yourself a priority and number one, there's nothing there for you to fill up on. And you think about it like I think of it like, you're filling up everyone's pitcher or glass with your pitcher. Like you've got a full pitcher and you're like, here. And then all of a sudden there's nothing in there. And they're like, crazy lady, you didn't give me anything. Give until you fill up first. So even like Clint, you were saying like, yeah, you got to do your morning exercise. So what? So you're in tune, you feel good, you're energized. When you take care of you, you're actually connected, you're inspired, you feel good, and there's plenty to give. But when you're so fucking drained, there's nothing for you to give. So it's starting to shift the patterns and say, okay, if I know that I actually cannot manifest money until I say I'm worthy of even having 10 minutes to exercise or 20 minutes exercise or taking 10 minutes, how do I reschedule my day? How do I ask for some assistance? Maybe dropping stories as a single mom. When I started to create my businesses, how do I get to drop some stories about what it has to look like? So see, we all think it has to look a certain way. That's just what society has told you. What way do you want it to look? How does it get to look for you? Because guess what? 99% of the population is spectators and participants. 1% are creators. I don't want to live like the 99%. So how they choose to live doesn't work for me. I get to choose, well, how would this get to look for me? What works for me as a mom and what works for me in my business? And how would I get to set myself up for success?
Yeah, I love it. Such great advice. And I can see our studio owners getting excited because they're like, time for me, that's going to make my business grow. That's going to make my family be more intact because, so many of our studio owners say to me, Clint, I don't have time to spend with my family. I teach all afternoon. I come home at like 10 o'clock. Everyone's in bed. Like my husband's left maybe my dinner on the kitchen, table for me. And they feel like they've got to do it all. What advice would you give as a single mom who has created an amazing business impacting the lives of so many people and still having time with your kids? I see those videos on Facebook where you guys are having a lot of fun. I mean, how do you make it work? And you touched a bit on delegation just then, but I'd love you to kind of explain how it works for you.
Totally. And first off, I want you guys to tune in and think, if this is the life experience that you're having where you get home at 10 o'clock at night, dinner's on the table and everyone's in bed, is that really the life you really want? So what you're doing right now isn't working. You got to do something different to get different results. And I recognize, I go and Clint, I'd be happy to make sure you and your peeps have a link that helps really dig into what some blocks and barriers are. Cause I give it to my peeps before they start my program and it's like mind blowing. Okay.
Awesome.
So when we understand, okay, if this is the patterns I'm in and I'm doing this, it's never going to change. So when we look at, okay, if I want to create a life of balance, for me, the first start was I used to work till literally, Clint, 2 a.m. building my business and I'd get up at 5 a.m. because I was that same story everyone else is living in. So I totally get this. And I recognize it's never going to change until I do something different. And so I started to even tell myself, okay, so I want to create some balance with my kids. 3 days a week, I'm going to plan out an hour right here to go play. And the more I created balance, then it became every day. Then it became, every day at 5 o'clock I was done. Then it became every day at 3. Now my life pretty much is like on Wednesdays. The reason you and I got to connect a little later, I had a couple masterminds worldwide to run. Pretty much I just play all the time. And I have a whole team around me that supports me. But see, if I didn't start somewhere, and even looking at where I get to delegate. So for me, I looked at, okay, what was taking up my time? Cleaning my house on Saturdays. And I was like, I started to go, what is the cost I'm actually paying by giving up the time with my kids to play or creating in my business and making money versus me paying someone $50 every 2 weeks to come clean the house. And I had to break through the stories that, that's selfish. I should be able to clean my own house. You look at me now, I have a house manager that does my laundry, picks up groceries. I don't cook. I don't clean. I have 3 assistants. I have a tech team. I have everything handled for me. I just moved it to a different house in California, got home on Sunday from us playing all summer, traveling, and my house was moved into and decorated. Like, boom. Like, that's the life I live now, but it had to start somewhere. So it started with me saying, how do I create more balance? And how do I drop some stories that it has to look a certain way, like being a mom, etc., and ask for assistance. So when I allowed myself to get my house clean, guess what? I never fucking ever wanted to clean my house ever. I was like, this is amazing. And I saved half a Saturday, which would have cost me cleaning, to create money in my business and create time to play with my kids. And I was like, whoa. And so I started to look at how else can I get assistance? How else can I delegate? Today on one of my masterminds, one of my guys that runs a huge, massive organization, he realized, he's like, I always had I had to meet my employees at 8 a.m. And I realized, why am I doing that? I could just say, okay, guys, I'm going to see you later at 11 and you start the job. Where do we get to shift some things to create more balance? And the more you do, Clint, it becomes like, you don't want to go back. You don't want to go back to little shit. And something I want to share is when I started to create balance and peace and flow in my life, you look at, I started off with that single mom, very low income kind of thing. I was a waitress making $2 an hour when I first found out you had a cheating husband and got divorced. Now my business produces anywhere from a couple $100,000 to $500,000 a month, and I'm playing. And so it's about the more you shift into believing you're worthy of that, literally it expands, it becomes more possible.
Oh, I love it. And as you said, the cleaner, I'm laughing because our new cleaner started yesterday. And I went home last night and I was so happy. Like you walk into that bathroom and it's white and it's amazing. And you're like, I just wanted to cry because I was like, I don't have to clean, and and that for me is just like rest time now. I don't have to clean. So I think as well, the great thing about delegation is you don't need to fill it up with more stuff. You can fill it up with more stuff that's income generating, maybe working on those high priority tasks for your studio or your business, or actually take that time for you. Take that hour to go and exercise or play with the kids. Or if you want, lie on the lounge and watch some TV. If that's what it is for you to chill out, I'm totally all for that. So thanks for sharing that because I think it's really important. The other thing you said is I find that delegation gets addictive, because
it does.
The way I do it, like I love it. And every week I'm like, like yesterday, I was employing, another bookkeeper, and I say to our studio owners, once you start and someone takes over something and it's okay, like the whole studio doesn't fall apart because you're not doing everything because you think I'm the only one that can do that. No one can do it as good as me. What kind of, what would you say around that? Because I know so many of our studio owners are saying, oh, but I pass it off and then they make a mistake and then I have to redo it. So I may as well just do it myself.
So let's think about that. If that's our thought process, so 98% of people stop after 2 to 3 tries. Not Think and Grow Rich. It's Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. He talks about that. And it's awesome because what you realize is that you try something and you go, oh, well, I had to do this and I had to fix them on that. Well, if they've never done it before, how would they ever know? So, but instead if we go, okay, awesome. What's the feedback here? So see how our perception creates our possibility. But the feedback is like, okay, so we get to get a little bit more clear. Next time I would love you to do this and add this. And we're training them, boom, then that's off your plate. And even as a mom, it might be like even around your home life. How else do I get to ask for assistance? It's like my kids are 8 and 12. This morning I was at the gym. They get up, they make their own breakfast, they pack their own lunch, they get all ready to go, and the nanny's here to take them to school. That in the past, it was like we had to, okay, what else do we get to try? What else do we get to try? What else do we get to try? For them to get dressed and to clean up on their own, and teach them responsibility, that it got to be like, oh, that's how our life flows. So if I aim towards that and I keep going towards it, I'm going to create something different. Another thing that I wanted to mention, you saying, okay, so there's 4 zones that you live in. There's, first off, we start in the zone of incompetence. Anybody could do it. It's like bagging groceries. Anybody could learn to bag groceries, right? Then you move to the zone of competence, where you're like, okay, I only maybe not everybody can do it, but most people can do it, right? Then you move to the zone of excellence, which is like, you're excellent at it. You know, you probably make good money and do it really well and get really validated, but most people stay in that zone of excellence. So your dance instructors, a lot of entrepreneurs stay in the zone of excellence, where they can do the bookkeeping really well and this really well and this really well, and it keeps everything flowing. But guess what? It's keeping you from your zone of genius. So I'm committed to living in my zone of genius. That's why I don't fucking do laundry. There's someone that's competent or incompetent that can do laundry. In my zone of genius. That's why I don't buy groceries and I don't cook things and I don't clean a house or anything like that, because I'm committed to living in my zone of genius. So I'm always just sharing my passion, my purpose. I'm always feeling good. I'm always doing the things that I absolutely rock at and I feel fulfilled. So look at, what could other people take on? What are things that I could delegate so that I'm committed? If you're the rock star dance instructor, you get to be the rock star dance instructor. Who gets to assist with clients? Who gets to assist with cleaning the studio? Who gets to assist with bookkeeping? All those things, because all that energy is taken from you. And you already have plenty of energy inside you to shine. And yet you're like, because you don't have the energy from living in your zone of genius.
I love what you're saying here, and it's going to connect so much with studio owners, because when they think of outsourcing or delegating something, they think of spending money. It's directly related. I had one of our, in our group, the association, one of our studio owners about cleaning the studio. He's like, hey guys, I've been cleaning the studio, every Sunday, and I'm thinking if someone else should be doing this. I was like, yes. And people are like, oh, I want to do the same, but it's going to cost me money. And so I think it's really about getting back to your value, where you're in that place of joy, but also those activities that are going to generate more income as well for your business. Can you talk a little bit about that?
The first thought for me was, we get to shift our mentality. When you're looking at everything in lack and scarcity, so there's 2 energies that you're always operating out of: fear or faith. Fear is lack, scarcity, worry, what if. Now, this is my favorite analogy to explain the 2 is, say you're going up a roller coaster and you go to get on the roller coaster and you look at it through the eyes of fear. Oh, I don't know what's up over this hill and what's around the bend and what's at the end and what's going to happen. I just won't get on. I won't get on the roller coaster. So you don't move. You don't move forward in life. You don't create anything different. That's what you're doing, staying in your same shit patterns and doing the same things over that are keeping you running like with your head cut off. Nothing's going to change. Now, when we approach the roller coaster out of faith energy, faith energy is love energy. It's creation energy. It's seeing out of wonderment, curiosity, excitement. Like, so you're like, oh, I'm so excited to see what's up over this hill and what's around the bend and who I get to meet and all the opportunities and how I get to grow better in my studio and how many more, people get to assist me and what's at the end of this roller coaster. You get on the fucking roller coaster. So the same thing, if you're seeing it out of the mentality of lack and scarcity, oh, this is going to cost me. What are you focused on? You're focused on spending money, worried about money. That's the energy. And you're saying, you're literally not attracting money. You're attracting shit. Okay. Now, if instead you go, and you realize if you looked at it as like, what is it costing me for me to be doing that? I'm spending my time there. It's costing me my kids. Whatever you're saying yes to, you're saying no to something else. I'm saying yes to my studio instead of playing with my boys. How does that feel? That doesn't feel very good. So literally, if saying yes to your passion purpose is teaching, wow, I'm saying yes to that, everything else, there gets to be a better priority. So look at what's the cost you're actually paying in your life if you're saying yes to that. How would that get to be replaced? And how much more money can you make? How much more fulfilled are you? Again, when you're worthy, you get to be fulfilled. Even if it was you just taking time for you, Clint, you're like, I don't ever have to clean a bathroom ever again.
That literally was me. That literally was me last night.
And your energy alone and excitement for that is creating awesomeness, because you're literally like, yay, life is so awesome. Bring on more. I deserve more. I don't have to clean toilets. It totally is. So that's what I'd say to that is, look at what kind of life do I want? If you want to be cleaning the toilets of your studio forever, keep doing it.
Yeah.
If you don't, what else would you get to try? how else can you create more and generate more income so that can be taken care of? Could you trade on, like, even like as a single mom, looking at how I got to have my kids watched when I, when I was literally being a waitress, it was like, okay, so can we create trade-off, friend play groups, etc. Right? Like, what can I do? What else is possible to give me the next step solution? But my mind is always focused on asking the right questions. What is possible? What else can I try? How else could I create this? It's faith energy. It's wonderment, curiosity. I'm excited, not, oh, what if lack, scarcity, worry, I'm in shit.
Yeah, exactly. Marci, I want to kind of talk about, you've worked with so many entrepreneurs and high-level business owners. What are the obstacles? What are maybe some of the mistakes that they're making when they come to you? What is it that they're like, you've probably seen some patterns. There's like maybe 2, 3, or 4 things that you're like, wow, this just keeps coming up over and over again. What are a couple of those things?
Well, I see a lot with entrepreneurs, the feast famine in their money, which means they have an unconscious commitment to being broke, which all stems to being worthy. I see a lot of disconnect, a lot of the belief system we talked about in the beginning, where I mentioned was my main message, which is either or. I can either have this or this. So see, this is where we're like, okay, well, I can either have the studio and I'm a successful business and I have to sacrifice my family, my personal life, balance, because this is how success has to look. Instead of, I can have this and this and this and this. So if we believe I can have it all, this is the biggest disconnect, making everything in your life a priority. My balance time with my boys, my balance time with myself, my business, my meditation time, my workout time, every single one of them are just as much a priority. One over the other. Every single one of them gets focused every day. That's how my life is balanced. So that's a massive disconnect in entrepreneurs I see, because there's a lot of living kind of in 80% versus 100% capacity and power. So they're like in this some sort of belief system of struggle or survive. So notice, you can notice in the words that you say, like if you say, I have to do this, there's a force, that fight battle feeling. There's versus I get to, I'm excited, I choose to. So everything has become our belief system say, success is hard, this is what it has to look like. And that's what we experience. So really my genius is breaking down all their shit to then recreating new patterns, new beliefs, new identities, seeing things differently and shifting it so that we get a different experience. Yeah,
totally. And I love that. And I think personally, for me, I'm always working on that presence piece. If I'm with someone, if I'm with my mom having lunch, which I did last weekend, I am with my mom having lunch. I'm not on my phone, on Facebook, I'm not, when she goes to the bathroom, I'm like there and I'm just sitting in that space. I'm like, don't pull out your phone, because I feel like we're so on all the time, and our dance studio owners will say to me, Clint, I'm getting text messages from like 10 p.m. from parents, and, I'm up in the morning, I've got texts from teachers that are canceling that day, and then I'm stuck in my inbox for like 2 hours, and by the time I know it, lunch is gone, I'm off to the studio, and I'm like, what have I done today? I've done stuff, but what have I actually done to either give to myself or to help grow my business or serve my clients? So what are your thoughts around that presence piece?
So, okay, well, I love the presence. I mean, you described it well. And just like, if I'm not actually here and experience. So I remember at a time when I was in the same cycles and I'd be constantly trying to work. It's like, oh, I'm with my boys, but I'm like on the computer and I'm on the phone and they're like say something to me and they'd have to be like, mom. And I didn't even hear it. And that, so we've completely shifted it to where it's like, even if they come up to me and I am working and doing something, I'm like, give me 1 second, babes. I'm just going to finish this. Boom. And I'm present to them. Right. So I think even what you said is just choosing how to, in each experience, how do I get to be present? But what I really heard in you describing what your studio owners go through is setting new parameters. So see the belief system that's happening is I have to show up perfectly for everyone to love me. So the parents are texting me first thing in the morning and late at night and all these things. You've just said, hey, you can walk all over me anytime you want. And this is how it works. Instead of you are the example of how the world gets to love you. You're the world's best example of how to love yourself. So by you saying hi, or like you might have something on your email that says, it instantly responds and it says, I answer emails on Wednesday from these hours to these hours, or I will get to emails. If you send me an email, I'd be happy to get back to you. These are the hours I respond to emails. To your parents, it might be, hi, I'm available from this time to this time. I'm in studio at this time. I'm with my family at this time, and I'm available at this time. You get to start to set new parameters for you of how you want it to look versus just being the bitch, the yes bitch to everything and everybody else. And so you have no life. And this is the thing I really want you guys to tune into. If you don't feel good, if you're not feeling awesome, you're out of alignment, meaning like you can't be a creator. You can't be inspired to connect with the kids that you're teaching or the people that you're teaching or your clients or your family or anything. You're literally like this unattached, disconnected thing because you don't feel good. So if you don't feel good, something's off. So what do you get to keep creating in your life or looking at what's going on so that you get more into flow where you're always feeling good?
Yeah. I love it. The theme that's coming through, Marci, is really around gaining clarity on what you want from life. What do you want in this business? What do you want from life? How do you want to show up to the world? But how do you want to feel? I mean, if people have recognized that, okay, I'm not feeling awesome, something's off, I'm not in alignment. I mean, is there an exercise, something practical that you can offer that our studio owners can do? Is it spending a certain amount of time maybe doing some things that's going to take out of their head? Because they might go, I don't know what's going to make me happy. Like we have people that are probably like, I've been operating like this for years. I don't know. I mean, can you offer some advice on that?
Two things I want to touch on. Number one, most likely a lot of your studio owners are perfectionist identity that have shown up taking care of everybody and in that kind of cycle. So something that to recognize is if they're like, I don't even know what I want. I don't even know who I am. Notice you can't create something different in your life if there's no clarity. If there's no specificity in your mind, whatever you repeat and whatever specificity and with feeling, you create as your experience. So if you don't even know what you want, your subconscious mind, literally all you're getting and creating is whatever you believe subconsciously you deserve. So I want them to understand that that's normal. You just haven't allowed yourself to find out who you truly are and what you truly want because you haven't even asked yourself the right questions. So when people are in this identity, most of the time it's like, well, what do you want from me? I only know how to show up the way everyone else wants. So I don't even know what I want. So just take the opportunity now to say, what do I really want? What would I want my life to look like? Okay, so if also I get rid of the stories that I have to show up this way for all the parents and all the employees, blah, 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 and I want this to look the way I want to be experiencing time with my family. What would that look like? And get clear on what you want. And so the thing that I'm going to give you guys is actually one of the greatest tools that I use every day. It's one of the greatest tools that my mind body breakthrough peeps use to break through the unconscious behaviors to acting consciously to get what you want. So when I first start off people in my program, I know they don't quite understand how to dig to the root and how to shift things. And we're still becoming aware of their patterns, their beliefs, identities. I give them the 5 steps. And I'm like, whatever you do, and Clint, I'd be happy to give this to you so that you actually can post it somewhere for them and they can.
Thank you. We can put a link under your masterclass.
Yeah. And so I'll kind of give you guys the basic 5 steps and just walk through. So notice, this is the thing. If I don't feel good, or if if you're in any type of negative emotion that you don't want, if you're just feeling even blah or anxious or stressed or worried or anything that's not awesomeness, if it's not peace, balance, flow, harmony, awesomeness, it's like red flag. Look at the 5 steps. Look at what's going on inside you. Or if you're about to go into a pattern that's going to sabotage what you want. If you said, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to, create this thing for emails or create this thing to get new leads. And all of a sudden you're like, and you're doing something else. That's because you were triggered or you don't know how to do it or you're not sure what's going on or you're afraid it's going to fail. And you found a pattern to go to something else. So if you're going to go, just like if you were with food, you find yourself in the pantry, you're about to sabotage. So if you're in a pattern of sabotage or you're in a negative emotion, use these 5 steps. And this will start to retrain your mind and help you see what's really going on. So the first step is, what am I feeling right now? Okay, so what am I feeling right now? So I notice I'm feeling sad. I notice I'm feeling upset, or I notice I'm feeling angry, whatever it is. And your body will actually tell you what's going on, because in your chest, it's sadness, in your stomach, it's fear. I could dig into that, but we'll just keep it simple. What am I feeling right now? Okay. So if you go, I notice I'm feeling really, sad. I notice I'm feeling sad. So number 2, why am I feeling this way? Well, when, this parent sent me a text at 5 a.m. and expected me to answer, I noticed I felt like sad because it triggered, I'm not good enough. I'm not being a good enough, blah, 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 right? So it triggers something. So we go, well, what do I really want? And I want you to utilize the questions to really kind of break this down, where you're going like, well, what do I really want? I want to, I want to connect with the parents. I want to feel good, but I want to, like you get clear on what I want to be experiencing. And you can start to look at, if the thought is like, well, I like, say for instance, you're going to do a post or something for clients, right? And you're like, I'm afraid I'm going to get judged. I'm afraid of all these things. You're like, well, what do I want? I want to grow my business. I want to create more clients. Or, you're afraid to teach a new class, whatever it is. You're looking at, well, what do I really want out of this experience? Mm-hmm. So, okay, if this is what I want more growth. I want more connection. I want more time with my family, whatever it is. What's the new belief and perception to help you get it? What's the new thought pattern? What's the new perception that you're going to do? And remember, we're going to use faith energy to go, well, what would that look like? And, or what else could this mean? And how else can I create this? And we start to go into wonderment and curiosity. So we're now starting to look at the belief or perception is out of curiosity, excitement, wonderment. And so, you're like, what am I feeling? Why am I feeling this way? So now you see, oh, that's that old shit where I'm trying to be a perfectionist again. Remember, that didn't ever work. That didn't serve me. What do I want? I want balance and peace and flow with my studio and my family, etc. Okay, so what would my new belief and perception get to be? I get to tell the people that they can get a hold of me at these times. I get to hire, someone to clean. I get to create time for myself here. And you're reminding yourself of the new experience and what you now believe and what you now want. Then guess what? Number 5, you take action on it. What's the action I'm going to take to now get this? But notice, if you're feeling like scared and worried and you're in that negative fear energy and you go through these steps, you're like, okay, so the action is I'm going to post this anyways. I'm going to do this. But you're in a negative energy, you're creating shit. So you get to be like, and I always say breathe. When you breathe, you let energy move through you. Because if you're like, oh no, they're thinking this about me. See how I just held, my body contracted and I hold a negative energy in me. I reaffirm the limiting beliefs and I've just put more shit in me. Instead of being like, okay, so, oh, that's right. This is my new belief and perception. I'm worthy of some balance. Okay, so what do I get to do? I get to tell the parents that I'm only available at this time. Send. Right? And you're like, okay, let me turn on some music. I get to go meditate. I get to take 5 minutes for myself. I get to feel good. And you're now creating a new pattern, a new action, new things that are new beliefs, new ideas. So, and the more you do this, then you break these things down. So no, and like, I can imagine people telling me that I have to be available all the time, but I had that belief at one time too, right? So it just, it's a shift. So it's like, what's the next action step that I get to take? Put your head down and take it a step at a time, and it becomes something different.
Yeah, I love those steps. I'm excited that we get to kind of share that process with the studio owners as well, because I can see just how that is going to get them thinking differently, because I think a lot of them just jump to the end of, well, what's the result? And they paint the picture of what they think, play over the story of what they think is going to happen if they take a particular action. But kind of moving through that process is perfect. So I'm sure they're like going crazy writing down notes.
Disconnect, Clint, is you're like, well, they're like, okay, well, what do I do to get there? So they think, oh, to get an awesome fulfilled business, I'm just going to keep going through the motions and just put my head down and go to work. Well, that doesn't ever actually get you the result that you want. So this is where we confuse ourselves and we're doing stuff completely opposite to what actually gives us the freedom and gives us the peace. And when we recognize what's really there, I promise you, and the peeps that are watching, I'll give you access to that video link. It will blow your minds to see what's actually there and why you're afraid or why there's a disconnect on you letting yourself succeed and having success in your business and everything else.
Thank you. So valuable. I'm excited to share that with them. I want to shift gears just a little bit, Marci, and really talk about our bodies, because as studio owners, we're teaching we start teaching a lot and, we're on the go a lot and we might be eating those apples and fruits and good foods for us and fueling ourselves with the good stuff. But as we get older, studio owners can have children and they're busy and they're teaching a lot and they're trying to run their business. And they say to me, Clint, I don't have time to eat healthy. I don't have time to fuel my body with the right food because I'm going home at like 10 o'clock at night. Look, there's a drive-through. I'm going to go through the drive-through. I'm going to buy a burger. What can we do if we might be stuck in that pattern of really not nurturing, our insides?
Okay, so the real thing that's happening when anybody wants to sabotage, it's about what's going on inside them. The feeling that they're seeking has nothing to do with the food. So I just want you to evaluate what you even just said people are giving you as excuse. I don't have time to eat, so I'm going to grab whatever. So look at this. If I go to the candy machine and I put in the money, put in the numbers, candy falls out, get the candy, is that just as fast, that 30 seconds to a minute is just as fast as me grabbing an apple, as me grabbing, right? So it's not about the time. It's not really about the time. If I decide to go through the drive-through, can I say, hi, could I get, grilled chicken? Could we minus the bun and maybe do lettuce? Or could I get a salad? Can I order that versus I want a burger? See, it's not about the food. It's about the feeling you're seeking. So we get ourselves in this stressed, crazy mentality that we're so empty. We're desperate to feel good. We're seeking something to feel good. And so we now have connections and associations to food to feel good. Hence, whether it be like, so I have a client in the UK. Where are you at, Clint? Are you Australia?
I'm in Sydney at the moment.
Okay, I have tons of clients in Australia and the UK and all over. And one of them from the UK was famous business coach. We took his business from $250,000 to $10 million in 6 months, just shifting his inner game. So this is the power of the inner game. And he got to shift his body, everything, right? I'm teaching him how to do awesomeness in all areas. And he's like, I just love pizza. I just love pizza. I swear, I just love pizza. I'm like, nope, it's not pizza. And he's like, no, I just want pizza. I'm like, what's your association to pizza? And when you're triggered, when you want pizza, we get to go, ooh, what just happened that made me go, ooh, I'm something happened. I'm feeling tired. I'm feeling off balance. I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling not good enough. I go to the association to try to feel good with something outside of me. I didn't look inside of me. I went outside. This is how people are disconnected. They go to sex, porn, turn on the TV, drugs. Food is the most common one of all. To outside of me to try to feel up on a feeling that the food will never give me, because it's not a fucking feeling. And it actually just makes you feel worse, right? So when I had him really question this, what he remembered and got clear and was like, oh my gosh, yeah, when I was a kid, I used to go out and I used to go fishing or doing something during the day every Saturday. And when I'd come home, mom would always have made me a homemade warm pizza. Just after that experience, it was like his favorite thing to go do that and then come home and have a pizza. You see the connection? It was his connection to comfort and love. So every time he's triggered in his shit that he's not good enough, he instantly, well, I have a draw for pizza. It wasn't the fucking pizza. It was the feeling of love and connection and good enough. So we get to break that down and go, ooh, I'm not, this is what I'm feeling. What am I wanting to feel? Remembering those 5 steps. Number 3 is, what do you want? So if you're like, oh, I'm wanting more balance. I'm wanting some love. I'm wanting some connection. So what's a new belief and perception? I'm worthy of this. How do I get to give this to myself right now? How do I become the creator of that? And how do I give myself love right now? Because I'm really just seeking love. Or how can I say, oh, I'm obviously wanting some balance or connection. What do I get to shift around? And see, we get to become open to moving things and flowing with things to give ourselves what we want. It has nothing to do with the food. So if anybody now is not really clear, we know it's not about the time. It's not about the options. We know it's literally about, it's just a big ass red flag that you're not balanced, you're not feeling good. Something's off inside you. And you get to decide, see, what feeling am I seeking? How do I give it to myself?
I love that. That. Boom!
We say shaka laka. Lock it down with Marci.
Lock. I totally get it. I love it. I think that's...
I take it down for you. Shaka, lock, boom, just to make sure.
We'll put that in the notes underneath your underneath the masterclass, Marci. Awesome. Marci's masterclass. I want you to share with us, Marci. You've created a great business. Like you said, you're a single mom. You've got 2 beautiful boys. Who it looks like you get to spend a lot of great time with, but have a lot of fun with. You've built a business, you help other people really live the life that they want, create, in that place of creation and excitement. What are some of your kind of qualities, your success tips, if you want to call them those, on how you've really seen, I guess, you progress and grow and your business grow that you can share with our studio owners? Some of those tips, those strategies that you're like, you know what, for me, 5 years in, that was a game changer.
What was, say that last part again?
Oh, well, like if, for instance, like if you were like, okay, you know what, 5 years into my business, I did this, or I got hold of this and that was a game changer for me. Any of those kind of gold nuggets, because we're all about helping people to try and not make the mistakes before they happen. And how to really, I guess, accelerate, not kind of get rich quick schemes or anything like that, because we all know it's about work. But if you can share kind of any insights with us, that would be awesome.
Well, the things that come up for me are going to be completely opposite of what everyone else will tell you. Because this is what's funny. Okay, so even you said it, Clint, you just said, we all know there's work. Okay, so yes, there's taking action, but see, if even in our minds we feel associated to everything as work and it's hard and there's a process and to get to be successful, etc., then there's a resistance to it. Your ego mind does not, it doesn't want to be forced. Your ego mind says, fuck you. Every time you say, I have to do this, it says, fuck you. And then you literally create sabotage. So see, when you say, I have to have the perfect body to look this way as a dancer, that's why you feel that literally it connects to the I'm unworthy, I'm not good enough the way I am, and you feel forced, and so you find ways to sabotage that and create resistance. So what I want the world to hear is that we get to drop these stories of hard and work and struggle and fight and realize you're already effortlessly a creator right now. So if you can tune into this, recognize this, think about it this way. The sun doesn't struggle to shine every day, does it? The grass doesn't struggle to grow. Birds don't struggle to fly. We don't struggle to breathe. You're literally right here, right now, creating effortlessly, right? You are effortlessly creating at all times. What you haven't been tuned into is what you are creating. When you're focused on shit, you're creating shit. When you're focused on awesomeness, you're creating awesomeness. So what I was able to create in my business is when I even shifted to just doing basic Facebook strategy. Okay, so this is actually what I'm doing right now. Nothing else. I have a Richard Branson's branding team that I contracted with as my part of my team a couple months ago. We're shifting everything to start to do paid ads and my low end products, etc., getting out. But and still at this very time, I only do organic Facebook marketing. That means it costs me nothing. I'm just sharing my value on Facebook. Oh, this is what I believe. Oh, awesomeness. And then people go, oh my gosh, I got to know what you know. And blah, blah. 100,000 plus 200,000 a month. Just doing organic Facebook strategy. Now, you could do the same thing. So what's interesting is I get all these internet gurus and sales gurus that message me, or they're like, how the hell are you doing that? How the fuck are you doing that? That's crazy. And I go, I guess I didn't know it was crazy. So my point is a couple things that I would say tune into. What would have saved me even more years of living this life versus the life I lived in struggle would have been knowing that every single aspect of my life gets to be priority, like we've talked about. My kids are just as important. Myself is just as important. My internal feelings and connection. That's why I'm talking about like taking time to just even meditate every day and go internal versus being like, oh, I need food. I need anything outside of me. My body is just as important. All these things are priority in my life just as much as my business. When I am attuned to that and I feel good, I am the most fucking effortless, powerful creator there is. And the more I've been attuned to that, the more effortlessly things have shown up huge in my life. So the next thing is maybe asking yourself, I'll give you more of a strategy, is ask yourself the right question. So when you find yourself saying, I want this, how would this get to be fun and easy? How would this get to be fun and easy? So if we're looking at, hey babes, my boys just got home from school. So you want to come say hi?
Hi. Hi.
Yeah, yes.
Hey. Hi.
We're like a big international fun thing. So there's lots of people that just saw your cuteness. So, so if we say, so think about it. Whenever people go, they get stuck. So a pattern, a perfectionist identity pattern is, I don't know, because we're afraid to find out. We're afraid to step through that comfort zone. So we go, I don't know. But if we simply go, because we're afraid of what it's going to look like a rejection. But if we said, interesting, I do know, how would this get to be fun and easy? And we take away the stress. So, oh, awesome. Okay, I'd like to create more time with my family and do this in my business. See the and versus I need this or this, but the either or. How can I create this and this? How would this get to be fun and easy? Like, so for my boys, we've created ways where they get to step up and they get to learn things and we get to all flow in the house. And, it's like, how does this get to be fun and easy? So asking yourself that question, how do I get to experience more joy right now? How would this get to be fun and easy? So even when I'm on my TV shows that are international, like I'm surprised I haven't done it today. If you see my arms moving, it's because I'm usually like, I've trained myself to ask myself questions like, how do I get to experience more joy right now? Or how do I get to feel more love right now? And I'm like, I can rub on myself. I can love myself. So there's possibilities everywhere, but we've been trained to not look for the possibilities instead of look for the possibilities. So, I mean, my whole thing is always going to be internal. The internal game is giving you everything external. And this is what I want to really end on that question with is, it doesn't matter what business strategy you're doing. It doesn't matter all the surface things you're doing if your internal game says you're not worthy of it. You will sabotage it. You will fuck it over. You'll create resistance in your life because your internal game says I'm not worthy of it. That's why I can still be doing the basic, most simplest strategy. And I'm doing what I love with all the freedom and time because my internal game is clear. and it says I'm worthy of it. So literally the way that this works, I'll share one quick thing, is when you align to the space, so I believe I said earlier, there's 3 types of people, right? There's spectators, participants, and creators. 99% are spectators and participants. 1% are creators. So even in that 1% of creators, I believe there's only 1% that actually experience it the way that I get to experience it. Because a lot of creators are still in that feast, famine, either or struggle game instead of it being effortless. So when you start out in life, we're like life. The first phase of life is life happens as me. So Clint, this is you as a little kid. Yay, I'm running. Oh, I'm jumping. Oh, I'm crying. Like you're just life happens as me and whatever I want to do, right? Then we get a little older and it's like, hey, you're going to the babysitters. We're going here. We're doing this. And we start to see life as a victim, or life happens to me. I'm forced to. And we take on these thoughts and these beliefs and these things. When we become awakened and conscious, we're like, oh, life actually happens from me. And this is what I'm talking about. I choose my perception. I choose my thought. I choose my feeling. I choose my actions. I'm the fucking creator of my world. Whoa! Most people stop there, Clint, when there's actually a whole nother level of consciousness. There's life happens through me. So when I'm so aligned to my truth and my worth that I am deserving fully of abundance and awesomeness in everything in life, I can't accept anything less. What happens is effortlessly, things come through me to give me even greater. So for instance, it was about 6 months ago that I was like, oh, something just came to me where it was like, you get to assist the masses more. And I was like, all right, well, what would that look like? And the thought came to me, well, call this girl. And I was like, okay. So the past me would have been like, oh, what's she going to think? And why would I call her? And all of our inner shit that gets in the way. Instead, I was like, well, okay. So I call her up. She did my program years ago. And I found out she was now doing, implementing health programs for massive, huge corporations. And I was like, yeah, I just felt like we got to connect. And, I'm feeling like I got to create something for the masses. And she's like, are you kidding me? We can implement your at-home program into these huge, massive corporations. It's like $1 million deal, just like that. But it wasn't the money. It was the idea. It was me going, oh, it's corporate wellness. If I can assist and implement my mind-body breakthrough in corporate wellness, see, here they think, oh, we want it for the health. But what's going to happen is they're going to break through all the shit and people get to release and remember the truth of who they are and have awesome lives. And how much more greatness can I do for the world through that forum versus what I've been doing? So see, life happens through me. I just listen and I'm guided and huge things show up. That's just my experience now.
Thank you for joining us for this special podcast. To access our virtual dance studio training resources and receive continued support in the Dance Studio Owners Association, join our coaches and community at dsoa.com/join or email us at hello@dsoa.com.